Trump just opened a new front, tariffs over Greenland.
You won't believe how this ends.
Okay, let's go.
Trump is threatening tariffs on America's closest allies, and the trigger is Greenland. It sounds absurd, but the stakes are huge. Trade, NATO unity, and control of the Arctic.
So why is Greenland suddenly worth a tariff war? Follow the money, the military, and the minerals. Because if Trump pushes this to the limit, Europe may hit back and everyone pays the price.
Hey, Best Minute Studio! I'm Liam Smith.
I'm Alice Storm. Let's go.
Here's something wild. Trump just threatened tariffs on 8 major U.S. allies over Greenland. Yes, you heard that right. The autonomous Danish territory has somehow become the center of an international diplomatic crisis.
That's such a bizarre situation. And we're not talking about small tariffs either, starting at 10% and potentially rising to 25% on Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland.
You know what's really fascinating about this? The timing. This came right after U.S. and Danish officials had agreed to set up a working group to discuss the island's future. It seemed like diplomacy was working, and then, boom, complete escalation.
And the European response was incredibly swift, wasn't it? They called an emergency meeting in Brussels almost immediately.
Well, that's what makes this so unprecedented. When you have the UK Prime Minister calling it completely wrong and Macron saying it's unacceptable, you know we're in uncharted diplomatic waters. And get this, 7 European countries have already sent troops to Greenland for a reconnaissance mission.
The protests in Greenland and Denmark really caught my attention. I mean, when 85% of Greenlanders oppose joining the US, that's a pretty clear message.
Oh, exactly. And it gets even more interesting when you look at why Greenland matters so much strategically. It's this perfect location between North America and the Arctic, crucial for early warning systems against missile attacks and monitoring maritime traffic. Plus, despite being sparsely populated, it's incredibly resource-rich.
So what do you make of the US ambassador to the UN saying Greenlanders would be safer, stronger, and more prosperous under the umbrella of the United States?
Well, that comment from Mike Waltz seems particularly tone-deaf when you have Greenland's prime minister literally joining protesters in Nuuk, carrying signs saying, "Greenland is not for sale," and "We shape our future." Like, how do you reconcile those two perspectives?
The economic implications are pretty staggering too. These tariffs could affect billions in trade, and now that EU-US trade deal from last year is hanging by a thread.
You know what's really telling? Even Trump's usual allies are breaking ranks on this one. When you have Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch calling it a terrible idea, and Nigel Farage, yes, that Nigel Farage, saying it will hurt us, you know something's different about this situation.
And with the World Economic Forum coming up in Davos, where Trump will face von der Leyen and other European leaders, that's going to be intense.
Absolutely intense. And here's what's really keeping diplomats up at night. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas pointed out that China and Russia must be having a field day, watching these divisions between allies unfold. It's like we're handing our strategic competitors a gift-wrapped opportunity.
The ripple effects on international relations are pretty concerning when you think about it.
Well, that's just it. This isn't just about Greenland anymore. When the European Commission president talks about territorial integrity as a fundamental principle of international law, we're dealing with precedents that could affect global politics for years to come. And with that February 1st deadline approaching for the tariffs to kick in, something's got to give.
Looking ahead, what do you think this means for the future of international diplomacy?
You know, I think we're watching a real turning point in how economic pressure gets used in international relations. When Trump says tariff is his favorite word, he's not kidding, but using it against multiple NATO allies simultaneously? That's something we haven't seen before. And with Gregory Meeks from the House Foreign Affairs Committee already working on a resolution to terminate these illegal and absurd tariffs, We might be heading toward one of the most significant transatlantic crises in recent memory.
Sounds like we're all going to be watching this situation very carefully over the next few weeks.
Like, very carefully. Because whatever happens with Greenland could set the tone for how nations handle territorial disputes and economic pressure tactics in the 21st century. And that's something that affects everyone, whether they're paying attention to Greenland or not.
That's it for today. Thanks for watching.
You've been with Best Minute Studio. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care.